Okay, here is the video review for Studio 01 or 01 Studios Cell, their angry round cell boy here. This showed up as a review sample thanks to Show Z Store. So if you looking for it, there's a link down there. And thanks to Show Z's store for shipping this out and getting them to me. There's an Armor Toys accessory kit for this that's on the way. Hopefully we'll get that soon. That just gives them a few more options for display here. But you can see it's a big round, angry kind of cell-like thing here to eat you up with. And if that's not a metaphor for 2020 with the coronavirus, he actually has kind of a coronavirus look to him. Just angry and chompy, spiky little ball there. And it is about the size and honestly almost the heft of a bowling ball. It's not quite as heavy. I don't know. Like it's a hefty. It's probably not as heavy as a bowling ball, but it's got some heft to it. At least not a full regulation bowling ball. It's a nice big chunk of round evilness. And just because the only other round transformer that I've got right now, so just for the closest thing I could find is my old Primus toy. So just to give you an idea of how this scales to a round transformer. I don't have the Darth Vader Death Star or anything like that, but I think that's a good comparison to give you an idea of about how big this guy is. But yeah, you got some angry spikes along the sides there. Nicely detailed. These parts do come off. You can pull them off right there with this plug. And some connection point underneath, but if you want to see the detail underneath the spikes here, you can plug these back in. There's a lot of panels. The transformation is actually very intricate and neat when you do this, but just give you an idea of the orange ring that goes around it, very nicely detailed. Get this, plug this tab back in here. There we go. As you go all around, there's actually some more spikes that can flip up here. A little hinged spikes to go around the perimeter to just make them look more like an angry virus or a malicious cell. Something to flip out here. I'll have to get let me get a small screwdriver here to flip out the extra piece in here. And some pieces here. Flip up and around like that. And if you put it vertically, you can see those spikes all around the body there. But yeah, you may need a small tool to get the other spike out in here. There's spikes there. It's not really designed to balance vertically like that on these pieces. But you can see nice and spiky, some cool detail there. Also, there's a concentric orange ring here. If you'd like to have these pieces and these pieces be, you can turn all of this whole square section orange. There are replacement pieces, which affects a couple of his alt modes and makes them more uniformly orange versus having some gray on them, which we'll see in a bit. But there's swappable pieces. These pieces right here, you can see there's a tab here, very easily just pop off and plug back in. These pieces you do have to pop a pin out, and we'll show how some of that works. But you get all these little spikes and all the little accessories. You can change them up to make them look however you want. More than meets the eye to this one, absolutely. So yeah, so there's his base circular body here. He does have like a little angry chomper mouth here that you can open up and have him devour things, attack other cells. You can also, there's a couple peg holes here. You can use one of the angry chompy mouths if you want to make him an even angrier cell. There's 4 posts here on the inside of this that you can just plug this on right here and give him, it's not actually plugging in all the way, but you get the idea. You can give him an angrier mouth there on the front, which is pretty cool. You can also use the stand. You can give him the stand to kind of give him a vacuum suction effect. Let me go ahead and, since we're going to be turning it into some of his alt modes here anyway, you can untag these, and you can actually take this. And you could use that to display him. Maybe this is what your angry cell looks like. You could set him up on there like that. Or like I said, just give him a kind of vacuum suction look to his mouth. Let me take that whole assembly off. And we'll start, it's hard to get him to sit flat. We'll start transforming him into some of his other modes. I am going to move the chair over and sit down for this because he is there's a lot of little panels and a lot of things that you don't want to break. So we'll try to do this fairly here. So first things first, these can be in whatever position. I find it helps to leave them open, or you can close them, you can fold them down. Either way is fine. You just want to get them out of the way. There's a lot of places that are kind of going to interfere with each other as you transform them, but you can take these, you can fold these little spikes down everywhere. Because again, you don't want to hurt yourself or risk snapping these off, and you do want to be very careful with some of these panels and transformation bits. So fold up. And these do just clip on. Like I said, they come separate, so if one pops off, you just clip it on, or if you want to put it on the orange piece instead, you just clip it off and clip it right back on. I wouldn't do it too much because you don't want to wear out or risk stressing or breaking the clips, but you can do it. So yeah, so the first version of this is Angry Horned Armed Ball. You can give him some arms. So to do that, we'll come around here on the side. And there's a couple little latches right here that actually we want to deal with those later, because once you start pulling, to get your fingernail under there and pop them out is very difficult. But once you start popping all these, because this is a section, this is a section, and this is a section, and once you start popping them apart, we can wiggle them loose. So we'll see that. But take these little circular connector points and lift them up and tab them up right here. And you can start seeing some hinges coming up there, right there. And then come around here and like just start some of these panels are tabbed together. We already saw this one coming out. So you can untab these side panels and kind of lift this up right here. And you can separate it. Again, kind of wiggle these connectors loose here. And they should just pop loose, but there we go. Just kind of you want to get right as close to it, because if you don't get too close to it, it'll keep rotating in. And then you can just fold those back down into the panel. And once you got that up, you can kind of pull this out. Start untabbing this, lift this up, and you can see there's a hinge here for where his arm is. You can kind of, if you get up here, because it's pegged in down behind here and on either side of this panel. So if you're going to kind of get in here and get at the elbow joint, you can start to bend the elbow, and that'll kind of pop all this loose. You can also untab this panel from here, and you can see there's the fist. And untab this from the back of this blue piece, and slide these to the side so these pegs come out. And then you can get the whole arm out like that, and then you want to kind of untab these panels, and there's a couple little pegs up here. You can see these two holes on either side of the horn. When you pull this down, there's a couple of pegs here on top of the arm that slide up underneath there. And you got to lift that up, and then you can pull the whole arm down and around, which lets you lift this up. And again, this is on a hinge here and a hinge here, so you want to lift it up so that panel comes up and over those pegs, which will let you open it up more. And then you can fold these panels in. And then this panel right here comes up, rotates around right here, and then there's a couple tabs here that are going to go into the slots here. You fold this up as a square like that, fold these back, and then you can fold this panel. Again, bring it forward so it's past those pegs, and it just sits right there on the top of the forearm, or the top of the shoulder, I guess. And then down here, you lift this panel up, flip it over, flip the fist out. And while you're doing it, there's a little panel right here that you flip out, flip down like that to fill in the forearm. And when you're going back to planet mode, you want to make sure to fold that down first, because that can get caught on an edge and you don't want to risk breaking that panel. But flip the fist all the way around, Then bring this down. You've already flipped it over, so now this tech detail part goes to the inside. And this should just peg right into place. Oh, actually, no, this is right. This doesn't peg into place. These peg into place to hold it all together. These are the panels I was talking about. You can swap out. You can see right here. You can just kind of wiggle that loose. There's the peg there. And if you'd rather have an orange piece there, you can peg that onto the other side. We'll peg this on, rotate it around, and then there are pegs right here that you just fold these up and lock the whole forearm together. Just like that. Rotate the fist around with the thumb facing up. Very poseable fingers, you can see. They even spread side to side, which is nice. There's a ball joint there, so some decent range of motion there in the hands. And there's an arm done. And we're just going to do the same thing over here on this side. And if you want to, you can bring these up as kind of a crown. Although sometimes getting your finger under these, once you get enough of them up, getting under there and getting all the pieces up is a little difficult. You might need to get creative. You do want to be careful with these horns because this is not broken. There's a hinge there specifically for folding it up, but you can bend the tips if you're not careful. What I usually do is once I start transforming it, I kind of fold this so they're inside those pieces and then kind of fold them down in there. And that way, even if you push it around a little bit, they won't fold in enough for them to bend against anything inside there. And you don't have to be quite as concerned about messing up those thin plastic tips as you handle and control this giant ball thing. I heard it. And then do the same thing on this side. Just come up here, start popping these panels apart. Get in here and get the arm out. Gonna pull this open. This panel, and once you get that arm loose, it'll kind of start to come loose up. Snap that back into place. Loose up here on the top, and then you can untab it down here and get it out. Then pull the whole thing down, and then you've got the freedom to transform it. I'm not going to go over it step by step. We're just going to go ahead and transform it like we did the other arm. Fold this around. All the way down and around. Clip it. This up. Flip it over. Rotate these panels around. Flip the fist out. Flip the panel down. And then fold this up and tab it in. And rotate the arm forward. And then you can bring the arms up. Bring the horns back up now that they're safe. Give him his crown. And then you've got the Angry Ball Lord. You can use, once again, use this as a stand if you wish. To support him. But there he is, the Angry Cell Ball. Now some pictures show this attached right here, and I'm not entirely sure how it's done because of these towers, you can't use the peg hole. And this, I'm not sure what this connector here does. Actually, I know what it does for other bits. It's where this peg flips around and pegs in. But yeah, there are some pictures that have this attached here. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Because this is too big for, this hole is too small for this peg hole to go in. Unless, wait, there is a third. Is this peg? Nope, it's the same size peg. Let's say I got an extra one of these, but it's not any smaller than the other ones. But you can, if you want, you can take these in and peg them. You can use the peg hole and give them angry grinding shoulders. Although the other one's down here on the support stand, so it's hard to do, but if you want to give them a shield there or something, you can do that as well. Okay, and yeah, you popped off, I get it. So yeah, so we've got the Angry Cell Ball, we've got the Arm Ball Lord. That's his name is Arm Ball Lord. And then he's got he looks kind of like he's got that flat-headed android, or the Mad Thinker's android from Marvel Comics. Not exactly, because he was kind of a big gray glob, but it's reminiscent of that mode. There's like what I call the Nordic Warlord mode, which we'll see in just a second when we get them all into robot mode. So yeah, so from here, again, some very ingenious ways, because this is one leg flipped up, this is the other leg flipped up, here's his waist piece. There's a lot of really ingenious transformation in here. The arms themselves are already pretty cool, but when you see how all of these panels fold up into like a non-shell former, it's really kind of cool. The hardest part of this is getting the legs untabbed, because they snap in up here, they're pegged in. It's really hard to see. I'll show it to you when we get it open. But so you kind of just start taking these panels. You go ahead and take these waist panels and flip them out. And honestly, the step, if you're following the instructions, this step is way early on, but you can go ahead and fold these up. And that just, one, keeps a lot of these hinges from getting stressed or potentially breaking if you pull something the wrong way or you drop it while you're transformation. But it also just gets a lot of this material out of the way as you're transforming it. So go ahead and fold all those dark blue panels up behind these light blue panels here on either side. And again, you can see it kind of forms this kind of star-edged shaped piece. Just go ahead and, again, fold those two in and fold this behind it. And then same on this side. Again, that's because he's so rounded, that's why I usually tuck these in here, because it's very easy to catch those on something without a support structure. This isn't like the big Hasbro Unicron that has the stand to support it. That's a good way of transforming large orbs. This one does not have that. All right, just keep going, fold those up. And then right here, there's a little gray clip that you can unpop right there, and that frees this panel up, and same on this side. Now this is another one of those areas where, as you when you're transforming it from alt mode back to the ball mode, these pieces right here fold up and clip into place, and they are in there very, like, it's just, they're so thin, it's very hard to, and this is hard, clipped in tight enough that it's hard to get leverage. You may want to have a small spudger or screwdriver to just kind of get up under the edge and pop those loose when you're going back to ball mode, because they're very difficult to get with your fingernails. So flip those up, get these panels around like this. I guess it doesn't really matter right now, but open those panels up. You can kind of see the structure of how the legs are folded up in here. And then up here, this is where it gets tricky, because you have to, you go ahead and open these blue panels. Go ahead and untab these two. These you want to be careful with. These panels on either side of this orange circle rotate around, but there's just a really thin peg through here. So if you don't want it to break, always handle this piece by this center part and just kind of wiggle it loose here. It's plugged in right up here. And you can see it's on a little gray hinge here. And you see this piece rotates around, and there's just you don't want to risk snapping that peg. So get that, but grab it by that and rotate it around here. Yeah, there we go. Just bring that out. And then up here, it's hard to see in here, but there's a clip in the foot that pegs in up here. And you got to kind of get up under there and unpeg this. And again, this is on a ball joint here, so you can kind of rotate this around, but whatever. And it's very difficult to get the leverage to unpeg it. There we go, there's one side. And oftentimes you'll end up unpegging or pegging the other one side back in as you try to get the leverage to unpeg the other side, like I just did right there. I just pegged that side back in. There we go. There we go. And once that's done, kind of pull these out, get everything out of the way. There's a lot of moving parts here. You can bring this, and also you can see how this piece is oriented. That's going to be important here in a minute, but just kind of wiggle it. Bring it down, extend the leg out like that. Straight out like this. Now this piece right here, the instructions are not super clear on this. This helps lock the leg in place and keeps it from collapsing. But when you transform it into ball mode, you bring it off to the side, and there's a tab here on this underside that pegs in at an angle right here. So when you do this, you want to bring that down and peg it in into the leg at this angle, because that's how it sits properly. So if it's not pegged in sitting at this angle, you want to make sure to do that, because that gives it clearance to sit right where it needs to here in the body. Yeah, okay, good. But anyway, when you extend the leg, And I found it's easiest to kind of bring this in and peg one side into this little slot here. And then you kind of, with there's a side with a peg. This side also goes in. Then you just kind of wiggle this in so it pegs together. Because it won't peg all the way together until you get it to sit flush on this hinge. So you kind of just wiggle the pegs together and then seat this hinge here all the way in. Yeah, once you get it pegged together, make sure you come here and push that so it collapses all the way in. It holds this completely together, and then you know that that leg is locked in place. So there's a leg. These pieces right here, rotate them around so these panels, instead of round like that for ball mode, flip it around so they angle out. And then on this dual hinge, this is going to peg in right up here near where the angled peg for that knee piece is. So you bring this, fold this around so it goes right up into this slot, and then bring this forward, peg it into the side of the leg. Just like that. Same over here. And you're done. Then on the back of the foot here, go ahead and bring this panel up, or bring this panel up first, rotate it around, bring this whole panel open. This panel rotates around like this so it matches the curve, folds inside the leg, and then this whole piece snaps up into the back there. This piece, you saw, just lifted up, flips around, and then this is going to tab right into here on the back of the leg. And then this piece right here, lift up, and you're going to pop the hinges off. One piece is separate. This piece, the hinge is the same. The tab is the same on both sides, but this piece is hinged on. It's hinged onto this side piece, this angled piece right here. And you want to flip this around on this gray hinge, and then rotate it around. And then bring the yellow hinge up and around, and then half of it goes into that gap right there. You're basically turning this triangle so it matches the triangle formed by the upper half. And then tab that together, and that's going to be the heel of the combined mode, or the robot mode. And then you rotate these pieces around to be kind of toes that angle out to the side. And then you flip out this piece, flip out this piece, flip out the very tippy toe piece, and there you can see kind of what the leg's looking like. Now the leg itself, it's the hinge up here, you want to rotate it right at the body all the way around. You might need to flip it up like this a little bit to get the leverage to do it, but rotate it all the way back down there, and then bring it down, and then rotate this hinge to face forward. You can see now that's the backward movement for the leg, and then rotate it at the knee to face forward, and there's a leg. And we're going to do now the same thing over on this side. So again, you got to get these panels out of the way, get these panels out of the way, and then we want to come up here and get these unpegged. I didn't actually show the peg mechanism. I'll do it on this side. Get this here. There we go. So when you transfer the foot, there's these clips right here in the foot that peg in to this piece in the chest. There's a couple little tabs up here, which can be difficult. So we're going to go ahead and actually this time we're just going to go ahead and let's bring the whole leg down and around first. Bring it around. So now we're at least kind of standing in a solid mode. We'll go ahead and open this up, pull this piece down and around, clip that up, clip this up, lock the leg in place. It's a little bit of a workout because especially when you're holding them like this, there's a lot of weight up top and it can be just distributed weird, but locked in place like that. Bring these panels up and around, tab into the side of the leg, like that. Flip this back. Flip that forward, flip it forward, flip it forward. Rotate the side toes, the side supports. And again, here you can see the mechanism for that underfoot thing. You just untab these, untab this side. And like I said, just kind of flip it over and rotate it around to form the inside of the bottom of that piece. Bring it all together and fold it back to form the heel. This should all come together. There we go. Well, it does go together. Let me stand them up first. That's going to help. There we go. It's just a matter of getting the right leverage. He does have some ankle tilt there for support. So it's just a matter of getting him stood. There we go. A lot of very strong ratchets, as you can hear. So yeah, but there are the legs done. And coming on up to the top here. So we already folded up all these waist pieces here. Lift the arms up a little bit. You see all this? Okay. So right here, these panels you want to kind of lift and hinge up like this. You want them to come out in 90 degrees like that. And then again, a lot of the stuff up here is symmetrical, which is nice. So it really doesn't matter which way you turn this piece. And then you just cover these up. There are also, you'll see here on some of these places, some screw covers that I've already put in on the legs. And there are some open screws in here, but they all, like all the open screws, they're really good about covering all the visible screw holes and all the open screw holes in here because again, it's symmetrical. So you're gonna see them on this opposite on each side, but a lot of them do get covered up. Anything that's not visible gets covered up by transformation. So then you just bring those waist pieces up like that. And then these panels right here, let's come up even higher. This guy's big, big, big. Here we go, there's the upper body. So these panels right here come in together. You see the detail under there. Collapse together like that. And then collapse together like that. And then you rotate, again, symmetrical. It's got the red bits on the front and back, and they open up. You can put an LED in there if you want. Not sure if there's any other function to it, but you can open up those ab pieces either way. But let some light through if you want. There we go. Get the legs properly straightened. Like that. And then this whole upper body assembly, let's see, this is his front. So when we do that, we want to make sure to rotate it so his arms go on the right sides. So rotate that around like that. And then we're just about done here. This upper section, you can see there's a gap here, collapses, but this piece with the, it's easy to get this disconnected as you transform it. This center piece with these side pieces actually supposed to tab in. There's a little hinge tab here, it's removable. So before you collapse this, if you want this to stay on, make sure that that tab is re-tabbed in, make sure that hasn't come loose. Because there is a center piece that's gonna come up, and I'll show that when we get it done here. That's gonna come up and would keep that from being able to lock back in if you don't have it done beforehand. Make sure that's tabbed back in there. And then just take this upper piece and collapse it down. And here's what I'm talking about. This collar piece inside here comes up. It's part of the core piece. And if that gray hinge back there isn't tabbed in before you push that up, this whole piece just pops off. So it's designed that way, but just be aware of that. Now I like to, one of the things that I like to do, this is the Horned Warlord I was talking about, is leave these pieces with the Nordic Warlord, I guess, connected up here. And they just kind of friction into there. And then I bring all these up to kind of make like a crowned helmet. Come on. Again, like I said, it's hard to get all of them up and out easily once you get one flipped all the way in. Nope. And it's very easy to collapse them as it is. There we go. So I like to leave that as kind of the Horned Warlord. And then these panels collapse up into and fold together to form the chest and back, like that. Yeah, what are you doing? It won't tab all the way closed because of these hinges holding this up, but yeah, just you can even out those panels. So yeah, there's the Nordic Warlord with the crown and the horns. This kind of looks cool, armored helmet. You got the posable arms. If you want, you can give him the power shields on his shoulders. Just plug that all the way in. You just basically you form those. You just take these. Use the peg holes to plug them into there, and then you use this little peg through the center, and then just peg it right into the shoulder panel there. It holds it securely, and there's the big Lord. Personally, I like these are good as a stand. I don't usually leave them on the robot mode because I think as it is, if you just take the yellow bits off, it's a pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like he's got like spinny shield wheels of doom on his shoulders. Just everything with him is of doom, and I think that's a pretty cool looking robot mode. And like I said, you can swap out the panels here. If you swap out the extra panels, they give you the sides of his arms will be entirely orange and his shoulders will be entirely orange, just to give you an idea of what that could look like. But now officially, this is how, like I said, this is how I have done it. But officially what you do is, with these panels, is you take these off the side, like that, and then on each side you open up this, and then this comes untabbed and folds around here. And you want to rotate this to the side, and then this is where this hinge comes into play, because you take this and take this panel and you kind of push, there's a gap on each side, you push this through. Now the hardest part of this is there's the yellow hinge that it's attached to, and then this gray hinge down here, and you have to get that gray hinge. I find it helps just kind of fold it in, and then just once you get it all the way pushed in, kind of push this side up, because you want the clearance for this to sit all the way in and still let this come in, and that gray hinge will do it. You want this to come up higher than it is right now. There we go. You just kind of, but that it's hard to get the leverage on this gray hinge once it's in here, because it's such a short little hinge with the ball joint there, but you can do it. If you can get it to bend a little bit before you get it in here, great. If not, you just got to really work to get it to fold up just right. And you can take this and close it up, and then this side here, again, take it up and then tab it in, flatten his head there, and then do the same thing on the back. Just open this up, and you can see the tip of the other one poking through there. You should come to the same conclusion on this side. Kind of just make sure that piece goes through there. Get this to hinge up properly if you can, and then close it all up. Come on. There we go. And this is what I was talking about with the Mad Thinker's Android. He's kind of got that flat, stumpy head there in this configuration. But yeah, he's very cool. He's very detailed, and just a nice looking figure. Like I said, I'm waiting on the accessory kit from Shozy. It should be here hopefully soonish, but it'll give him some extra options, give him some pieces that you can make him look a little cooler with. Just to give you an idea of how tall he is, let me get, what's a good reference figure here? Let's just use or Earthrise Prime. Just to give you an idea of how tall he is. He's a pretty big bot. But yeah, he's cool. He's big. When we get the armor kit, we will the Armor Toys Add-on kit will show off the changes that gives to him. But very impressive. I haven't even talked about the posability. So you've got the head, which you can kind of look up and down on that hinge. You can put your own head in if you want. Close those, push those in. But he's got a waist swivel. He's got like upper torso swivel. The arms ratchet in a couple different directions for movement. They ratchet forward and back very stiffly. You got a bicep swivel. You got a dual hinge elbow there, which works. A wrist swivel. The individually articulated fingers, which we showed. You saw the leg transformation. He's got the hinge here, a thigh swivel, the hinge at the hip. He's got a very strong ratcheting knee hinge and a knee swivel. The toes are all posable, and there's also some ankle tilt there. The toes can come out in ankle tilt. So a lot of really good range of motion. Very solid, very cool. Like I said, if you do put these little small spikes in, you do want to be careful with him as you're transforming him because he has some edges that are easy to catch on things. But pretty impressive figure. There is 01 Studio Cell. Again, thanks to Shozy Store for sending him my way. And looking forward to his add-on kit.